It was dark, a few hours before dawn, and I was traveling fast, too fast. Speeding down Interstate 10, the beam from my motorcycle headlight was swallowed up by the black and the fog into which I rode. And in addition to the dark and the fog, there was the long-haul truckers barreling past me, pushing a bow wave of wind that threatened to knock me off the road. Because of the cold, and because of the fear, and because I had failed to take my medication on time, I was shaking wildly. Intuitively, I tried to stop the shuddering, but I found myself gripping the handlebars of my Honda Goldwing in a death grip. Except for a short pit stop every 2 hours for gas, there was no time to rest. In fact, every pit stop I became weaker, and I feared that I would let my motorcycle fall over. With only 3 hours of sleep over 2 days, I was exhausted. How much longer could I keep going on? In order to stay awake and alert, I relied on distracting myself by pulling a Tootsie Pop from my motorcycle jacket pocket where I kept my supply. I would unwrap it using my teeth, never taking my eyes off the road ahead. Then I'd tuck the hard candy into the space between my gum and my cheek. And I would play a game to see how long I could make it last. From hard exterior shell to the soft chocolate center, I savored that sucker for as long as I could ride with it. I learned not to crush it between my teeth, but to nurse it for more than 30 minutes, from first lick to empty stick. It's called the 50cc, a challenge to ride a motorcycle at breakneck speeds from San Diego, California to Jacksonville, Florida, a distance of 3,800 kilometers, literally from sea to sea in 50 consecutive hours. It's a punishing ride. It is certainly risky, and some would say insane, even for a much younger and a much healthier rider. Why does a 60-year-old with serious health problems take a challenge to ride such a grueling ride? In one word, adventure. It was Helen Keller who said, "Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all." When we were children, we loved adventure, didn't we? We dreamed about faraway places. We dreamed about new circumstances, new ideas, exciting experiences. But somewhere along the way, we lost our thirst for adventure. When was the last time you chose an adventure? You see, I believe that adventures are awaiting each of us just outside our everyday, well-ordered worlds. But we often fail to grasp the adventure as it spins away. And instead, out of fear, we make excuses. We play it safe. So when you think of your life, do you see it as being marked by complacency or pursuit of comfort? Or do you grit your teeth and endure each day? Or can you describe your life as an adventure? See, I've come to see that an adventure is not so much an activity, but it's an attitude, the way in which we approach the day-to-day challenges of life. Now, my most challenging adventure began 12 years ago with the twitch of a finger. I was 53 years old, living the dream. I had an active and enjoyable life. I had a great marriage of 32 years. I had 3 kids. I had a successful law practice. I had involvement in churches, charities, community activities. I had great friends, extensive travel experience, and a rewarding pastime. But little did I know that my comfortable, contented world was about to collide with a much different future. It was January 19th, 2006. I had made an appointment with a neurologist because my father, then 75, had just been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Now, I didn't know whether Parkinson's disease was genetic or what it was, but I thought it was a prudent thing to check out. But I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared for the doctor's diagnosis. Stated in monotone, matter-of-fact words, "You have Parkinson's disease." It was as if those 4 words triggered a trap door beneath my feet, and I fell into a dungeon of darkness and fear. Now, since that diagnosis day, my Parkinson's disease has been a kaleidoscope of symptoms. What started with an innocent, intermittent twitching of my pointer finger soon crept to my right hand, and then my left, and then down my legs. For some reason, I noticed that when I walked, my right arm stayed still while my left arm marched on. My writing got more difficult, illegible, smaller. My voice became softer. And for some reason, I noticed that my smell, my sense of smell had disappeared. And there was this vicious circle, this cycle that set up between insomnia at nights and fatigue during the days. Fed back to insomnia at nights and fatigue during the days. Emotionally, I was sad and anxious. I was increasingly irritable, frightened, angry, discouraged, and even hopeless. You see, Parkinson's disease changes everything. Every day, it invades an ever-increasing territory, seeking to take prisoner my identity. It's a vicious and unrelenting opponent. Now, I could have easily become depressed, isolated, and bitter. But I didn't. And I won't. Why not? Because I've discovered that there is something that this degenerating, debilitating, incurable disease lacks control over. One thing that I have control that makes the difference. And it's described in the words of Viktor Frankl, who said, "Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing. The last of the human freedoms. To choose an attitude, my attitude, in any given set of circumstances." What adversity are you facing today? You don't need to raise your hands, but are you facing a difficult relationship? Or maybe it's health challenges. Or maybe it's one of a number of unsolvable problems that you're having to confront. I think if we're honest, all of us face adversity from time to time. Whether we're facing aging or failing health or impossible circumstances, we all seem to grasp for hope just facing that overwhelming fear of the future. We pursue security. We want to maintain control over our circumstances. But sooner or later, we're all going to have to deal with circumstances we can't control. But there's one thing, one very important thing that we can do when confronted by the most aggressive of adversaries. We can choose our attitude. No one else can make that decision for us. Now, I want to be clear. This is an attitudinal choice. It is not simply putting on a happy face, like pasting an emoticon on your Facebook page. We don't need phony, feel-good promises or platitudes. I believe that we want to live full, purposeful lives, that we want to have the dreams that we had when we were children, the adventures that we anticipated then. We want to engage in real life. We want to participate, not just be spectators of the parade of years that pass by. You're never too old, never too disabled, never too beaten down to decide to embrace adventure that it comes your way. Your life can be an adventure. Parkinson's is a significant reality for my life, but I can decide to embrace the adventure that it presents. Every day is an opportunity for me to choose that adventure. Now, there are two very good reasons why you choose an attitude of adventure. The first is because it gives hope and strength to others. If we persevere in the face of pain and loss, we will leave an invaluable legacy behind for others, inspiring others to keep pressing on when it would be easier to quit. If we choose courage, resilience, and willingness to fight on, others will follow. And secondly, by choosing an attitude of adventure, regardless of the circumstances, we will grow stronger and we will grow more hopeful. Studies have shown that people with a positive attitude live longer, have higher quality of life, and they also do better facing major health challenges like Parkinson's disease. Now, adventures are not limited to a ride from San Diego to Jacksonville in 50 hours on a motorcycle. Adventures are different for everyone, and they change over time. For some, it may be a walk around the block, or learning a few words to reach out to your immigrant neighbor in her native language. Maybe for some of you, it's just trying a different kind of food, or maybe trying a TED Talk. Or maybe you'd like to join me on my next adventure. Anybody up for a trip to Antarctica? Do you have an adventure in your life? If not, why not? Whatever you may believe about karma, luck, or God, we are all dealt certain cards in life. Those cards are the circumstances of our cradle-to-grave existence. Some of those cards will prove very difficult to handle, but you will always have one wild card. And that wild card is attitude. Choosing a positive attitude is really the only logical way to play the cards you've been dealt. I know, you're saying, but how do you choose an attitude that's positive when you're a glass half empty, pessimistic, risk-averse individual? Well, take it from someone who can't carry a half-empty glass from the water cooler to my desk, that I've learned a few things about that. You need to take one step at a time. Just one decision at a time. And sometimes it means asking for someone to help carry the glass. Remember the words of Helen Keller. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. Now, Tootsie Pops have always reminded me of the 50cc adventure. And in case you're wondering, I did make it in 49 hours, 41 minutes, with 19 minutes to spare. So I have a gift for you. As you leave today, I will have a Tootsie Pop for each one. And I want you to take that, and I want you to remind you to choose an attitude of adventure. Thank you.